Hey, folks, this is David Johnson, the sports program manager at Parks and People. This is the second of a series of panel discussions, and today's topic is around the social and emotional benefits of sports. And I've got a great group of panelists on with us today. So I'm just going to ask that you go around and introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you do, and then we'll get into the questions. We'll start with Jen from Baltimore City.
Hey everybody, I'm Jen. I am the youth program manager for Baltimore's Bolo Kids Foundation. I'm here in Baltimore right now, and I hope everybody's having a great day.
Thanks, Jen. Jameson?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Jameson Merrill. I'm the Chief Program Officer at Up to Us Sports, and I lived in Baltimore for 2 years, but I now live in Chicago. So happy to be on the call today.
Cool. Thanks a lot for joining us. Scott.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Scott Johnson. I'm the community school coordinator for the Belo Edison School, formerly Alfield Public Charter School. And I've been a basketball coach, boys and girls, and a soccer coach for the last maybe 20 years or so in Baltimore City.
Thanks for joining us, Scott. Nyla.
Hi, my name is Nyla. I run the Bolo Kids Foundation nationally, so I'm here with Jen. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for getting on the call with us. And last but not least, Rodney.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rodney Elliott. Currently, I'm a community engagement specialist for research infrastructure here in Baltimore called the Patience Program, but former athlete, born and raised here in Baltimore, played high school ball here, college ball, University of Maryland, College Park, played overseas internationally for about, 10, 12 years. Did a little coaching here in Baltimore with prep school, AAU basketball. So glad to be on the call today.
Thanks for joining us. So we'll just keep it going and start with you then, Rodney. You participated on, all levels in youth sports. You've also coached. What are the social benefits of participating in and coaching in sports, in your opinion?
Oh, man, so many. I guess from the player's perspective, as early as, for me, actually baseball was my first sport when I played when I was young, maybe 8, 9 years old. As I grew taller and my neighborhood friends wanted me to come on the basketball court, it kind of shifted from baseball to basketball. But teamwork, camaraderie, family, a lot of those players that I played with back then, even in Little League, I'm still friends with today. So from a coaching standpoint, I think some of the same things as well. A lot of times, and I'm pretty sure Scott can attest to this as a coach, things step out of the X's and O's. I like talking X's and O's all the time, whether it's basketball, football, whatever. But when you're coaching the youth, particularly here in Baltimore City, those kids need a little bit more than just the X's and O's guys. So I've been a mentor, I've been a father figure, I've been a chaperone, you name it. When it comes to coaching, you play multiple roles. So as far as socially is concerned, I think it affects you both ways. As a player, you get to learn a lot of things that you can translate from the field, court, whatever it is, to real life. And as a coach, you try to bring those real life experiences into the athletic realm in order to prepare them for both what they're going through now athletically, but also whatever that next level is after the ball stops bouncing or you stop running or whatever it is.
Now, I'll ask you the same question. What do you think from your perspective and position and role working with youth are the social benefits that your participants gain from being involved in the program?
Sure. Yeah, so what we do is, we provide sports for kids generally in the 6 to 12 age range. All of our programs are free, and we hold them in a variety of neighborhoods in Baltimore and then across the country. So what we focus on is developing confidence in kids, developing resilience. And I think those are two things that really do come out of our social benefits that come out of playing sports that, that you're able to experience. So we don't really focus on building skill necessarily. We focus on the social, having kids make friends, practicing how to support each other, building their teamwork, learning how to get frustrated with not being able to perform, but then also, kind of working towards that within a team. And all of those things kind of come out. And then another kind of piece that I speak to personally is that it's really important to me that we also show both male and female role models, and we have our girls and our boys both see women in a position of coaching, which is not necessarily very common, although, better now than it was when I was growing up. And the reason why I say that under a social benefit is because, when you see something as normal as a child, you start to understand that as normal when you grow up, and it makes the kids more accepting of people in these leadership roles. And in my the example I gave, specifically females.
That's a great point. Our next panel discussion is going to be about women in sports, so we'd love to have you back.
I'm absolutely available.
That's her favorite topic.
I'm going to go to Jameson now, who's with Sports and a partner of ours, as well as Roll City. And if you could just talk about some of the social benefits you may have had participating in sport, or some of the coaches that you all work with. I know I did with with you all, and it was probably the best training, the best. It was one of the best experiences I've been part of since my college internship. So if you just talk about some, I gained a lot. I mean, I'm not into you guys trying to talk. So if you just talk about some of the social benefits that your coaches gain from working.
Yeah. So I think we're a coach training organization. We place AmeriCorps volunteers in organizations throughout the country, including many partners in Baltimore. And what we do is really provide them with training and again, some of the X's and O's, but definitely a lot more of the kind of social emotional benefits of sport. And we try to provide them with kind of frameworks and strategies to employ with their young athletes and teams. And so I think when it comes to the social benefits of sport, then we believe that a sports coach can be one of the best role models for a young person, especially if that sports coach is relatable, whether they're from the same community where the kids are from, or they even around female coaches. That's a big part of having someone that you can relate with on a deeper level. And so we make that a big part of our coach recruitment, and then having that credible messenger I think allows for youth to really then learn a lot more from their coaches, and think and apply their learnings in their life. And so we provide coaches with skills that I think allow for a more kind of advanced learning environment. We give coaches training on looking and listening skills, and using that active observation to kind of understand where maybe their players are at, and think about the ways that they can kind of develop skills in new and different ways depending on the needs of their athletes. And so a lot of our training is also based in kind of being trauma informed and understanding personal and community context, and how that really plays a role in behavior. And so I think all of this is to say that sports can really play a really big role in the development of social and emotional well-being, and we hope that we're kind of playing a part of it, thinking about coach training.
That's great. Thanks for that, Jason. I'm sorry. Jen, if you could answer the same.
I'm sorry. Was that my name, or was that Jen?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Jen.
So sorry. You're cutting it a little bit. I think it's my internet. So
Okay.
I kind of looked at the social benefits of participating sports in like a kid's psychological mindset. I have a background in education, and I think a lot about how kids read and interpret social skills and practice those reactions and interactions. And I think that sports are really great because they offer kind of a safe stage and environment in practicing those interactions and reactions with coaches available nearby to help guide them, especially our younger kids who are just learning the appropriate way to interact. And I think a lot now about a lot of our players that primarily talk to their friends through social media and what they learn from television, when a lot of things have a comedic twist and don't necessarily teach them the best way to react to things, just the funniest way. So it's sports and teams offer a great forum for our young learners and even our older learners, just kind of stepping into who they are as a young adult, to practice those appropriate skills with structured guidance from experienced coaches.
Thanks, Jen. Scott, you've been having a background in education and coaching in our leagues. What would you say have been the social benefits of participating in league play for your boys and yourself in basketball for the girls and in soccer for the boys?
I think a big part of the social benefit is being a part of a team. Being a part of a team that has healthy relationships is critical. Learning how to sacrifice, realizing that everybody on the team has something to give, not just necessarily the star players. I think the most important part of my coaching experience is managing the different elements of the team, whether it's, of course, on the field, but also on the bus, and how are guys responding in school. What are we talking about that happens in practice and how that translates to what happens in school? Building team unity through circles and huddles, teaching guys how to communicate with one another, learning that, the team is important. It's not necessarily about the win, but the win is in certain aspects of the game outside of the field, in terms of, did we all show up today? Did we all play hard? Are we ready for the field trip? Are we learning something about, like when we play soccer, a lot of the guys in my neighborhood, maybe 25% of them know a lot about soccer, then 75% of them know nothing. So are we talking about Pele or Didier Drogba, learning about the cultural contributions that African Americans or Africans in the diaspora have made to soccer, and how that relates to all the kids on the team? Because sometimes we get kids from all over on the squad, so that's really important in terms of unifying us as a team. We went to Howard University to watch the soccer game, and it was just amazing to see the guys watch the game, but also be well received from the people in the crowd and talking to them about what they're experiencing and what have you. So those things are really important for us for social benefit.
Nice. So now I'm going to ask you all, just on a personal level, from your participation, as a youth, or in Ronnie's case as a pro, or the social and emotional benefits of participating in organized sports for you personally. And I'll start with you, Ryan.
Dave, you can repeat that a little bit. I mean, it's coming from you. It's a little staticky coming from me.
Oh, so from a personal standpoint of participating in coaching, what the emotional benefits of participating in sports, be it youth, high school, collegiate, or professional?
Okay, I think one of them for me would be managing your emotions. I think as a player, when I first started out, honestly, I wasn't that good at all. Starting out early, I was a tall guy, just, bought on the team just to be a tall guy, rebound, things of that nature. But as I progressed and went through the rigors of getting better, getting stronger, everything wasn't all peaches and cream. It wasn't easy. There were a lot of losses. There were a lot of losses as a team, losses individually. A lot of coaches that, didn't necessarily believe in me or didn't think I made the team. So you just got to figure out how to manage those emotions. Nowadays, not for all, but, a lot of kids nowadays, don't have that next play mentality. That's something that I learned as I got older. Having the ability to have next play mentality. So for me, basketball, sports-wise, that means if I miss a shot, it's not the end of the world. I'm coaching and the player misses a shot or they miss an assignment, it's not the end of the world. Next play mentality. Let's get back on defense. Let's come back and, come back next quarter, next half, or whatever. And to me, when I do have those conversations with the kids, when I'm on the bus rides or when I'm, taking them back home, and they're going through issues at home or in the neighborhood, I got to give them next play mentality information there. Like, hey, it's not the end of the world that you didn't, get the A you wanted on that test. Come back, study hard, learn from that, and try to get that A. In the neighborhood with peer pressure. Hey, you got some friends that, make decisions that you might not be accustomed to. It's okay to walk away. It's okay to, choose another route. Next play mentality, you got something to do the next day. So for me, next play mentality helped out a lot on the field, on the court. And as a coach, it helped me out a lot as well to deliver a message to the kids, again, on the practice field, on the playing field, but also in real life. Because as we all know, a lot of kids, including myself when I was young, or even as I, my professional career, look to the basketball court as a refuge. I look toward as a relief from whatever's going on, and that opportunity to go out there and go hard and play and compete with my, friends and teammates. But, I always had in the back of my mind, again, next play mentality, athletically, but also when it comes to outside. So for me, that was one of the most skills that I learned that was transition, that I could transition from sports to real life.
Okay, Nyla, I'll ask you the same question.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna reiterate the same message, but I'll try to make it a little bit more personal. So the reason why kind of showing women role models in sport is really important to me is because I didn't have that growing up. So I was the only girl on the basketball court, running up and down, playing my little heart out in terms of defense, getting steals, learning all of these skills, but without that same support from teammates who wouldn't pass you the ball, who assumed that you couldn't play because of the way you looked. And what I learned from sports was kind of how to be resilient in that manner. So, early on, it's frustrating. It's, you want to cry. You're like, why isn't anybody playing with me? Why doesn't anyone want me to play? But kind of just looking into yourself and realizing that, just because they can't see how strong you are doesn't mean you're not strong. So thinking about ways to, build up my skill in the off time, and then thinking about the value that I could bring to the team. Nobody's asking, defense in general isn't necessarily glorified, but if I could be the best defender on the team, I didn't really need anyone else to show them I could play. I could get that steal, go for that layup. And it really taught me a lot about kind of building my own confidence, while at the same time finding these coaches who did believe in me and who did provide that support, and being able to recognize that. I don't believe that I would have found that outside of sport. And then the third emotional benefit really for me was just, that was a place where you could feel comfortable, and I could be, playing with my siblings, and, talking is one way to connect with somebody, but, playing with them one-on-one is a different way to build a connection that doesn't necessarily require conversational skills. It's just a different way to express camaraderie and connect with people. And I think that's important even today when there is less face-to-face, less genuine human interaction. And we do need to continue to have this venue in which we can connect with people. So I think those would be the three things that I would say.
Great. Thank you, Nyla. James.
Yeah, I mean, I fully, validate and what Rodney and Nyla have said. It really resonates with me in terms of my own experience with sport. I think being a number of years away from any type of playing career, I think sport has at this point provided me with even more than perhaps than when I was a player, being a part of this kind of sport-based youth development community. And so I think that there's a lot that sport has given me outside of playing, really being able to think critically about how we make sports better and sports more equitable. And so that would be one way that I would answer that question. I guess if I think about it more from a playing perspective and the skills that I got from it or experiences, I would, and maybe aligning it with the mission of Up to Us, I think there was I was fortunate to have so many coaches who did really care about my personal development. And I think, I think coaches play such a pivotal role in providing those skills and opportunities to take safe risks and encouragement. And so I think I imagine a number of players and athletes, ex-athletes, would say a lot of the same things. And so, I think that, I was always grateful to have those types of role models that I could look up to, and would probably say the same things as my parents or family members, but they were kind of different and they were cooler and they were good at soccer or basketball, so I'd listen to them more. So anyway, I just think that sports are sports coaches specifically have a unique role to play in kind of helping shape and model young people and positive behavior. So yeah.
Thanks, James. Jen. Jen, your mic's muted. There you go.
Thank you. I think on a personal level, which makes this a little bit more of a narrow channel, and for me, sports have really helped with identifying different areas of being a team member. I think otherwise I wouldn't really have had the opportunity to learn what it really means to be a team member. I think so much of what we do is about succeeding and being the best that you can be, and showing the best that you can be by being the leader, being number one, reaching all the way to the top. But I think sports have taught me that as a part of a team, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're the one shining all the time. Even if it means, I think a lot about, I think in football, but even in football, even if you're playing an offensive position, just because you're not the one scoring the touchdown doesn't mean that you're not the teammate that's bringing enough to the team. You can be someone pulling defenders away to make room for someone to score a touchdown. And I think that a lot of times that message gets convoluted in our regular lives because we want to be the person scoring the goal, metaphorically, or doing the most or leading the most. And in a team, it's all how much you can contribute to lift up the whole team. And I think that's a really important message that sometimes gets lost in, my cat, I'm sorry, that sometimes gets lost in everything that we do from day to day.
Great. It reminded me of, just some of the recent struggles I've had, trying to keep the program, relevant, and, just it reminded me of the fact that, even the smallest part, that we play and providing these opportunities to our youth, it makes a difference. So thanks for that, Jim.
Yeah.
Scott, I'll ask you the same question.
Okay, I think that emotional benefits for playing sports, learning how to communicate, teamwork. We use the word teamwork. We use the word love on the boys soccer team because a lot of times boys don't use that word love at all. And we try to manifest it in a black manhood perspective of loving your teammate or respecting your teammate, being in a place of loving what you're producing on the field or what you're about to produce on the field, building self-esteem. And really, boys have a lot of self-esteem and confidence. And sometimes you might have to temper that down a little bit. But with girls, it's the exact opposite. I see a lot of times where they may not have as much self-esteem and confidence. I know for our girls basketball team, it's all about building pride and building confidence. You look at looking at Ronnie for a perspective. When you think about Dunbar High School, you can talk for an hour about pride, history, commitment, excellence, all the different players and what they've done on and off the field, the coaches. When you think of AFI, you think of nothing. So a lot of that is, how do we tell our kids, okay, you're creating a dynasty, or you're creating a program, and how you respond to the game now. So what kind of program do we want to build? And sitting down with girls and talking about, this is what we want to do, this is what we want to be, and then going out there and playing anybody and everybody, meaning like, we're a small middle school, 350 kids, and going out and playing JV teams, going out and playing Riverdale Baptists, all those different programs that are big in the state, and trying to say, okay, this is what we want to be. So we may have to take a lump here or there in order for us to get to the point where we can play. So just having that mentality of anytime, anywhere as a perspective for whatever we're going to do, if we're going to really do it. And it really, it's a challenge emotionally, because a lot of times you have to kind of get ready for it. We played Poly this year. Half the team disappeared when it was time to get on the van. And the other girls was like, look, we got it. So we had to actually tape the game secretly so that the girls could see we hung with Poly JV. We weren't out there getting blown out. So just being, without being long-winded, coming from a perspective of teaching emotional discipline, emotional pride, and emotional team, in the sense of, don't be afraid of whatever it is your concerns are, your challenges are, and just go out there and seeing what you can do, and things go right for you sometimes.
You guys definitely have shown resilience in all the league play that you participated in our leagues, and I just appreciate how you built those young people's character in competition, win or lose. So thanks, that was a great answer, Scott. The last question I have for everyone is, how have you been able to provide these benefits to your participants or your partners with everything that's been going on with COVID? I'll start with you, Rodney.
Oh man, it's been a huge challenge. I can't imagine. On social media nowadays, you're seeing all the class of 2020, graduating and everything, with middle school, high school, even college. But for the younger kids, middle school, high school kids that missed out on their spring sports, I think it's really tough to swallow. I mean, I know a senior, for example, good friends with his family, and a young kid graduated, and he was a pretty good pitcher and had some schools that were really interested in him. And I don't know how that's going to go going forward, but it's been a challenge. But I think a couple of things have helped out with me. Like, I've just told them how to get better at the game with video. They got old videotapes themselves. Go back and watch that. I've even held the huddle with a younger player of mine. He sent some video over. I watched it, and we kind of critiqued this game a little bit on the court. So you can learn any sport. You can learn any sport when it comes to the video session. So I'm a huge video guy, because I realize that kids learn things differently. As a coach, I know you can probably tell one player on the team, go out and run play X, and the player might get it. You might got to tell another player on the same team, run X. You might got to tell them, and then get the clipboard, draw it up, and show it for them. Another player, you might got to tell them, clipboard, video, and everything. All in all, they're all on the same team. They got the same goal to try to go out there and win. But as a coach, you got to be mindful of that and find a way to still get to your kids, get to your players, as best you can. And I see this time kind of rolling down. We got 9 minutes, so I'm just go ahead and hush and let everybody else get their word in.
Thanks, Rodney. That was great. Nyla, you all have been pretty creative with engagement. Since we've had to go virtual, I've been talking to Jen, so if you could just share a little bit of that, and then Jen, you could chime in.
Yeah, I was actually just going to tell Jen that our team has definitely been creative and innovative in ways that, we wouldn't have predicted until our backs were up against the wall, and we realized we needed to continue to serve our kids despite, not being able to be in them. And Jen's done an amazing job at pioneering this, so I absolutely want to give her the opportunity to share some of the really great things that we've gotten a lot of positive response on.
Thanks, Nyla. So yeah, I guess like Nyla said, we've really tried to kind of take advantage of this situation and make lemonade, which has forced us to re-examine how we're offering opportunities for the kids to practice mindfulness skills and social and emotional skills. So we've tried to kind of deliberately integrate them in everything we're doing now. We've been offering virtual programming, and at the beginning during coach huddles, we take the time to address a social skill of the day and really implement those skills throughout the lesson. We've kind of taken advantage of the fact that we have the kids' full attention now. They're really only, they're not distracted by their friends and nature and birds and everything. So, we've tried to supplement that with videos that we record for these mindfulness skills, and we're putting cues in all of our lesson plans for coaches to pick up on what they can capitalize on per per session. So if it's ball handling, we talk about, what's the importance of practice for building confidence and stuff like that.
Great.
We're just
Thanks,
trying to make
Jen.
some
And thanks
lemonade.
Make some
Yeah,
lemonade.
I'm trying to make some too.
Yeah.
Jameson, you all have been really creative over at Up to Us and engaging coaches during this time. What are some of the things that you all have done?
Yeah, we've I think in terms of an output number, we've held 6 different trainings. I believe we're holding our 7th training today, and
Wow.
and so part of that has been transitioning our coach training curriculum into a virtual format. That's been kind of more recent types of training that we've provided, and then other trainings that we've been doing has really been around kind of coach wellness. So I think we talk a lot about how, just like in the airplane where they say put your oxygen mask on, first before helping the others, that's the same type of idea here, and providing a lot of sessions for our coaches around their own, mental health and well-being, around self-care, and, even in with the events of the past couple of weeks, really kind of having times for us to, debrief together and reflect as coaches all together to think about how we need to, adjust accordingly. And so that's been really our main focus during this time. Using Zoom, we're finding creative ways to build in kind of the interactive components of our training. And I will say there's trial and error there, but largely I think it has been a success. And now trying to, with the fall coming and uncertainty around school openings, we're really, committed to continuing to plan for virtual and be surprised for maybe some more in person. But yeah, that's kind of the plan from Up to Us Sports. And I think it's allowed us to really think critically about how we deliver content, which has been productive as well. So yeah. So anyway, that's a little bit from the Up to Us Sports end.
Thanks, Jameson. I'm hoping for those surprises as well, man. I love virtual. I think it'll be great to extend programming that way, but I'm looking forward to when we can actually get some kids and get out in the field or on the court and do some things. Last but not least, Scott, with the Go Hard Club, man. I'd like for you to share some of the things you've been doing to continue to engage your young people over at AFA.
It's been really crushing because most of the guys on the soccer team are part of the Go Hard Club. And real quick, the Go Hard Club is like the Boy Scouts without uniforms or patches, anything of that nature. It's just cut everything financially down to the bare minimum of pure fun and joy and learning skills. So we missed a lot of camping trips, man, fishing trips. Those are hard things to duplicate virtually. But it's been just weekly check-ins. Going to porches and talking to guys on the porch, making sure guys have internet, making sure guys have food, making sure guys have a soccer ball or what have you if they need to do something here. YouTube, I'll reiterate what Ronnie said earlier. YouTube has been a great training ground for us because guys love YouTube, and being able to send stuff. They watch YouTube like it's a TV channel, and it's just a great difference maker in terms of teaching strategy or just something fun or learning skills or reiterating something we talked about a couple months ago where this is this person or that person. And, bringing that back to practice finally once we, end this piece, it will be a powerful thing. Great.
Glad you're still connected with your guys. I know they definitely benefit from you interacting with them. I know I do. And all of you, thank you for joining us for this conversation and taking time out of your day, your busy schedules to share some of the things you've been doing to stay connected and, some of the benefits that you've gained yourselves and that your partners and participants have gained from participating in programming that you all provide. So thanks. Everybody be safe and well, and hopefully you can join us in some of our next panel discussions.